I said before, my name is David, and I would like to welcome you all here today for our beautiful Sunday service at Sunburst Sanctuary. And today is a special Sunday, and we have 2 or 3 of these each year, and it's the Sunday that follows one of our retreat weekends. And this last weekend, we had a Kriya Yoga meditation retreat weekend. And there's a number of you in the room here today who joined us for the weekend, and we got to share and reintroduce ourselves, and for some people learn for the first time the meditation technique, Kriya Yoga meditation. And it's really been a wonderful weekend. I know that I've talked to a number of people who have been here this weekend, and it's really been special for everyone. And I was thinking about this particular retreat, and we have it this time of year, every year, and it's around the beginning of the year. And I was thinking, well, yeah, we have other retreats as well, and they're all special, believe me. But I think this one gets a little extra boost because it's always right around the time of Yogananda's birthday. And also, this is really kind of hard to believe, but 19 years ago, on December 30th, was when our founder, Norman Paulson, said his final farewells and left his body behind. And then in just less than a month from now, it'll be his birthday also. So there's like a real culmination, coming together of energies of these special people that we've had in our lives that have meant so much to what we're able to do here at Sunburst. So I would like to dedicate our time together this morning to Yogananda and to Norm, and to speak a little bit about each of them. And I mentioned, like, just last Monday, a week from tomorrow, was Yogananda's 133rd birthday. Someday we'll probably be able to say that to people. Oh, it's your 133rd birthday, but we're not there yet. But, wow, I don't know if everyone here knows who Yogananda was, and if you've read his autobiography, then the things that I'm going to talk about you're already familiar with. But he did write the book Autobiography of a Yogi, which had a profound impact on humanity, and especially the Western world, introducing people to the concepts that India has been so familiar with for ages. Yogananda was born in 1893. And when he was just a little baby, his mom brought him to her guru, who was Lahiri Mahasaya. And she was a small woman, and she carried her new little baby to his house where he was sitting, and there were always people there meditating with him. And she couldn't really see him. She was in the back of the crowd, and she was just praying to Spirit that she could get a blessing from Lahiri on her newborn child. And so she was back there, and she was praying fervently, and she could not see him, but suddenly he opened his eyes, and he beckoned her to come up to the front of the room. And I want to read what he said because I thought it was so beautiful. He said, "Little mother, thy son will be a yogi. As a spiritual engine, he will carry many souls to God's kingdom." And I think we can all agree that that prophecy has come to pass and continues to. And he had an interesting childhood, which you can read about in his autobiography. But when he was just 17 years old in 1910, he went into the ashram of Sri Yukteswar, who became his teacher. And he spent 10 years there. He became Yukteswar's chief disciple and had incredible experiences, which again you can read about. But he was only there for 10 years. And in 1920, his teacher came to him and said, it's time for you to take the message of Kriya Yoga to the West, to America. And this, he had been getting hints of this kind of his whole life, I think, but it still was a shock to him. He just couldn't believe that he was going to leave his beloved India. And he had also founded this fantastic school for young boys to learn how to live properly, how to meditate and how to discipline themselves, but also to learn the basic academic things that were required. It was called Ranchi School. So he was really going through it. Even though he knew this was the right thing to do, it was still, one of the main concerns that he had that he talks about in his book was he was worried that he might come over here and get sidetracked by all the consumerism and the materialistic ways of the West. And he was praying to Spirit for a blessing that might not happen. He was for hours, he was sitting in his room and he was, almost in tears, just fervently praying. And there was a knock at the door. And he opened the door and in walked a young man. And he said, right away, I knew that it was Babaji, because he had not seen Babaji before, but all the reports were that Babaji looked like a young Lahiri Mahasaya. And so he recognized that it was him, and Babaji telepathically let him know, yes, it is me, it is Babaji. And he gave Yogananda a blessing and let him know that he had been the one who had sent Yogananda to Sri Yukteswar so that he could be trained and that he could bring the message of Kriya Yoga meditation to the West. And this was such a powerful experience. And Babaji said, when I leave, don't try to follow me. And he Yogananda begged him, please take me with you, let me go with you. And he said, I can't now. And so when he left, he tried to follow him. But he said that his feet were like rooted to the floor. He couldn't move. He couldn't pick them up. And Babaji gave him one final blessing and had also told him a lot of personal things and prophecies that he didn't share in the book. But so he felt like he really, really did have the blessing of all the masters. And Babaji was the yogi who lived in the Himalayas, who had reintroduced Kriya Yoga meditation to Lahiri Mahasaya in the 1860s. And it was an ancient art of meditation that had kind of been kept cared for by these yogis in the Himalayas during the Dark Ages, the darkest of the Dark Ages. And when it was time, it was given to Lahiri, and then Lahiri gave it to his disciples, one of them being Sri Yukteswar, and Yukteswar gave it to his, one of them being Yogananda. So Yogananda came to America in 1920. He was 27 years old. And the first thing that he was commissioned to do was to speak at a big gathering of religious leaders from around the world in Boston. And he wasn't really fluent in English to the level that he felt comfortable speaking. But on the ship, somebody had asked him to please speak to everyone on the ship, and he agreed to do it, but he didn't really know how it was going to work out. And he sat there for a long time, and then everybody started to laugh, and he thought, well, this isn't very funny. But he then started talking in fluid English. He was able to speak in English. Same thing happened when he spoke at the conference in Boston. And his message at that conference was, he spoke on what he called the science of religion. Now, he could have talked, at length about the religion of Hinduism, but he didn't. He was raised a Hindu. He could have talked a lot about being a Hindu, and the different leaders of the different religions were probably speaking about their religions. But Yogananda's message transcended all of the religious beliefs. The science of religion. Even back then, we know now that science and religion are like two sides of the same coin, but back then, people weren't really that tuned into it. And after he spoke, one of the leaders there wrote a really nice article and just talked about what a powerful experience it was to hear Yogananda speak, and how his message was universal and for all people. So in 1920, Yogananda was just starting out bringing this message to the New World, to America. And it was going to be another 9 years before the founder of Sunburst would be born. Norm Paulson was born in 1929. And when Norm was 18 years old, he joined Yogananda's hermitage in Los Angeles at Mount Washington. And he had been having visions of Yogananda's face and in particular, his long dark hair and his deep, dark, lustrous eyes. He'd been having visions since he was a little boy. An autobiography of a yogi came out. I'm not 100% sure of the date, but I think it was around 1945. And Norm saw a copy of the book in 1947 when he was 18. And he recognized Yogananda's face right away. And he said, I have to go see this man right away. And he just left all of his friends and he just figured out how to get there. Yogananda, when they did meet, he said, can you come? And he said, I will. And he spent the better part of 5 years with Yogananda at Mount Washington. And Norm himself had an incredible life as well in his childhood. He was raised till he was maybe around 10 years old right here in Lompoc. And his father was blind from birth, and he was a very sensitive man, and he had become a Buddhist, and he had actually become a Buddhist minister. And so Norm had this incredible relationship with his father, who out of his imagination just told Norm all these fantastic stories that, and Norm was always part of the story, and there were always virtuous undertones to the stories, and he just had this unique relationship with his father, and his father saw Norm as his dear, dear friend, because he had been pretty lonely his whole life because of his being blind. So Norm was with Yogananda, and in the late part of 1951, or early 1952, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was late, maybe in the fall of 1951, Yogananda was having a ceremony where the different monks could take deeper vows that would, where they would become part of the order with deeper vows that meant things like not marrying in this life and really committing yourself to becoming a monk for the rest of your life. And Norm knew intuitively that he couldn't do that because he felt like he would be married in this life, and that being a monk and part of the Swami order was just not going to be his path. And so he chose not to take those vows. And then eventually, soon after that, he ended up leaving Mount Washington. But while he was there, he was all in. If you read Norm's book, or if you read Yogananda's book, you'll see pictures of Yogananda with some of the monks doing these yogic postures. He would bring them out to demonstrate for people, to show people what these guys could do with their bodies. And Norm's in all those pictures because he was really, really dedicated to the pathway that Yogananda had set before him. And he applied himself deeply to the meditation that was taught to him by Yogananda. And he had his own incredible set of experiences while he was there. And then after he left, he had, and again, you can read Norm's book to read this. I'm not going to go into it, but he had a very profound experience of Christ consciousness. And that experience has really informed what Sunburst has become all these many years later. So Norm wasn't really into the yogic path. And when I met Norm, which was 20 years later in 1972, the first time this is how I remember Norm the first time I met him, was he had on a pair of cut-off blue jeans and a t-shirt. And he was heading down the hill from Sunburst Farm with a group of brothers because they were going to work on a construction job. And that was how Norm was. He was 43 years old, and he was just full of all this energy to get Sunburst kicked off because people were starting to arrive. And he was teaching the brothers the trades and the value and the joy of earning a living. And it was a magical time. It really was. So for Norm's life, that when those of us who knew him, he always, even in his later years, he would always gravitate to some of those what you might consider more earthly projects. Like if somebody was building a house, or there was a road being constructed, or whatever it might be, that's where you would usually find Norm at least one time during the day, just checking out what was going on with it, because he really loved this idea of getting your hands in the dirt, of doing hard work and getting things accomplished. He also really loved sharing his experiences with people and inspiring people on their own search for God. These two guys have made such a huge impact on so many people's lives. And you could say if it wasn't for Yogananda, SRF, Self-Realization Fellowship, probably would not have been founded. If it wasn't for Norm, Sunburst probably would not have been founded. We would not be able to sit here in this beautiful temple and share the teachings that both of them have shared with the people here. And the energy that they set in motion has continued to go forth. And we are so blessed to be able to be a part of it. Each and every one of us no matter how long we've been around here, if this is your first time on this property, it doesn't matter. There's no time is not relevant here. We are all connected, and we are all on this path together, and we've all been helping each other in ways that we can't really see or that we're aware of sometimes. So teaching people how to meditate was what Yogananda was really interested in doing, and also how to live a good life. And that's the same thing that Norm was interested in, was teaching people who are interested in meditation, and then also mapping out a lifestyle that was founded and based in virtue. There's an old saying that I'm sure you've all heard, and I think it really fits in nicely with the idea of learning how to meditate. And it's the give a man a fish and feed him for a day. Teach a man how to fish and feed him for a lifetime. And when we learn how to meditate, we learn how to feed ourselves for a lifetime. Because we go to the fountain of divine spirit every day in our meditation. And we feast and we drink from that beautiful, beautiful source that we have all come from, and that we are being sustained by, and that we will return to. I wanted to tell just one little story that I think says a lot about Norm, and I'm sure Yogananda too, in the same respect. A friend of mine told me many, many years ago that he was at Coda House one day, which was the office that we had in Santa Barbara. And he was talking to Norm, and this was before there were cell phones. So nobody was getting a text or anything. And the phone in the house did not ring, but he was just sitting there talking to Norm, and all of a sudden Norm just kind of stood up and said, "I got to go." And he came back 15 minutes or a half hour later, and he had this old friend with him. This guy's name was Hugh, and he was an old friend of Norm's from Santa Barbara. And my friend told me that I don't know how he found this out, if Norm let him know or what, or maybe he asked, but apparently Hugh had just hitchhiked into town and had been dropped off at the freeway and was walking down one of the streets. And Norm just got the message that Hugh is here, and he went to get him. And that we know that people have these abilities when they get in touch with spirit. But I think that there was so much of that going on all the time with Yogananda and Norm, and they just didn't make a big deal about it, ever. And if this brother hadn't been sitting there talking to Norm, nobody would have even known that he got that message to go pick up Hugh. And I just think it's such a beautiful example of the humility that these great souls have when they come here to try to help us. They can see and sense, and they know so much, but they're not like micromanaging. They're not telling us every step of the way how we should be doing this or how we should be doing that. They're just putting a message out there of daily meditation, be kind to each other, tolerate each other's differences, just work on being virtuous. And that is the pathway forward. And don't be too excited about the fact that I can do this or I can do that, because that's what's coming for everybody. That's everybody's birthright, to have these same abilities that they had or that they had. And we need to just stay focused on our own spiritual growth and serving one another. And that's our ticket to God realization. And the other little thing I would like to share before we go into meditation, and I know that I definitely got this from Norm, and I heard this years ago from another friend of mine, but it's a saying that goes, I don't care how much you know until I know how much you care. And that's what I always got from Norm. You know, I knew how much he cared, so I really did want to know what he knew. But he was letting me know more often how much he cared about me than trying to tell me all the things that he knew about. Okay, let's take those ideas into our quiet meditation together. And if you've received Kriya meditation this weekend, now's a nice time to practice it. If you don't have a meditation practice, you can just sit upright, relaxed, no tension in your body, and try to hold your focus, if you can, right here between the eyebrows, at the third eye, and just follow your breath. Just watch yourself breathe in and watch yourself breathe out, and let your breath and that conscious breath become the practice as you're sitting quietly in meditation. I'd like to read from Yogananda, from one of his books, Man's Eternal Quest. There are basically two approaches to God realization: the outer way and the inner or transcendental way. The outer way is by right activity, loving and serving mankind with the consciousness centered in God. The transcendental way is by deep esoteric meditation. By the transcendental way, you realize all things you are not and discover that which you are. I am not the breath. I am not the body, neither bones nor flesh. I am not the mind or feeling. I am that which is behind the breath, body, mind, and feeling. When you go beyond the consciousness of this world, knowing that you are not the body or the mind, and yet aware as never before that you exist, that divine consciousness is what you are. You are that in which that in which is rooted everything in the universe. Why not inquire behind the darkness when you close your eyes? That is a place to explore. And the light shineth in the darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth it not. Vast lights and cosmic forces are moving there. Realize that. My words may remain vibrating within you, but if you sleep on in delusion, you will not know it. If you awaken, you will be conscious that the truth I have spoken is ever throbbing within your soul. Meditate. Learn this liberating lesson. Wait no more. I came here not to entertain you with worldly festivities, but to arouse your sleeping memory of immortality. You do not realize the pain that comes to those who remain in delusion. I suffer for you and will do everything to help you realize that illumination is within. Free yourself forever. Yogananda said, at least at one point, maybe more than once, that the best form of meditation is practicing the presence of God every minute of every day. But then he also talked a lot about the importance of daily sitting meditation. So I think maybe he was saying both of those things are important. Both of those types of meditation are valuable. And they're not exclusive of one another, but to hold God's presence in our mind as we go through our day, and to recognize divine spirit in one another's faces, to see each other's souls, our higher natures, and to not get sidetracked by the dramas. This is how we can help bring heaven on earth and be part of the big solution for this planet, which is in such need of divine energy. You are welcome to join me in a closing prayer. O Divine Spirit, you are alive within us and all around us. We are of the same source. We will continue our search to awaken while we find ourselves in these bodies of form. And we will try to bring your heaven, your consciousness, to everyone we meet. Your blessing, your expansive nature, your unconditional love. Amen.
Oh, listen to life's sweet song. Can't you hear how she longs for perfection like in days that are gone? So sweet and oh, so sad. So sweet and oh, so sad. Father, you're melting us all into one bright, shining, blazing sun. And we've all had the blues much too long, so we're all going back home to you. Oh, big wheels are turning round all around us without a sound, and they're spinning within us too. Oh, I can feel the love, can't you? Oh, I can feel the love, can't you? Father, you're melting us all into one bright, shining, blazing sun. And we've all had the blues much too long, so we're all going back home to you. I'm going home to the sea of love, yes, of love. Won't you come on along with me and ride the stars above, and ride the stars above. Father, you're melting us all into one bright, shining, blazing sun. And we've all had the blues much too long, so we're all going back home to you. Yes, we've all had the blues much too long, so we're